All right, YouTube. I have not done a video lately on the GE300. I've got a lot of folks out there that subscribe to my channel that I can see are following content that's particularly about the GE300. So this is dedicated to you guys and gals on how to use the GE300. I'm going to start with a basic rock and roll patch here. It's a Marshall Plexi. Not going to do anything fancy, just show you a basic sound. Let's go back out to the patch. We'll kind of walk through how to create a basic patch. And if you're doing any kind of rock and roll, the Plexi will probably get you there. It's one of the most common amps that has been used in rock and roll history. So pretty basic here. You can see that we got an amp, a cabinet, a noise reducer on it, and I've got a little reverb. I'll take that out for now. So just going to walk through the basics here. So this is the Plexi. It's number 12 PLX 100. I'm going to show you how I set it for my guitar. I've got a Les Paul copy, bridge humbucker, so that's kind of the basic sound. So I'm going to walk right through everything. Gain, I think that's pretty good. Bass, you generally want it pronounced, so that's pretty good. 66. Mid-range, 66. I guess we'll leave it there. Treble, I'm going to add a little bit. So 72, I'm going to keep it on original mode. We're going to keep the EL34. Not going to mess with that. Preamp out, we're going to make it a little hotter. Turn that to about 62. So it's not going to be a clean sound. It's not going to be a totally distorted sound, kind of an overdriven sound. I would give a little more presence. And bias, I tend to always have that up on any kind of tube amp that I'm emulating. And I tend to have my master around 50 or so on all my patches. So if it turns out to be too low, I've got a little adjustment where I can take it up or down. So now we're shaping up into a, pretty classic rock and roll sound. Let's see. If you've been following my channel and looking at anything that I do on guitar, I did one recently where I did a version of Sweet Emotion. That's the GE300. Almost every guitar that you're hearing on my YouTube videos, and again, make sure you subscribe so you hear all this, is the GE300. I transitioned to this in, middle 2019. I was in a band. We were gigging, a lot. This became my main effects pedal with COVID here in the U.S. that has really changed things with gigging. So don't do it much anymore. So you see a lot of live streaming and stuff on my channel. All right, so moving on. Cabinet. So I picked the 1964 by 12. Again, I'm using all GE300 on board. These are not IRs or anything I purchased externally. These are all built into the... So one thing that I see a lot of people on YouTube, they don't go and mess with the cabinet settings, with the stock cabinets. And honestly, there's a lot you can do with that. So kind of keeping with how they really mic Plexis in real life. Typically, it's an SM57 right against the speaker. So let's see. I can't remember. There we go. So I've got the SM57. I'm going to put it a little bit out from the center. We're going to keep it pretty tight. I'm going to put it right in. The distance is 5. So the second mic, this is where you can get kind of the room sound. For the classic rock and roll stuff, like, you're talking about Van Halen, all that kind of classic rock from the 70s and 80s, they put an SM57 right on the grill, and they generally didn't use another mic. So to simulate that, and here's, again, I don't see people doing this on the GE300. So you click over one page to page 2 here, and you pan it over just to mic 1. So we're only doing that SM57. So let's go back to that mic screen. So this MXL or all this stuff, it's only the SM57 giving you that sound. So let me play it here for a minute so you hear the difference when we pan to that other mic. So it's not quite. I think it loses a little edge, at least with this specific setup. Now, in other instances, like when I'm dialing in, say, a Fender amp or a cleaner amp, I tend to use that more so in the 50% range, so you hear both microphones. But anyway, that little tip to you, if you're looking for a classic kind of chunky in your face sound, make sure you go to this screen and just take one mic. All right, so let's go to the other portion here, and again, this mic 2, center 2, distance 2, they don't apply because they're not using those. The low cut set for 80, that's cool. 6,000, that's about where a guitar amp speaker starts rolling off, is about 6,000, so that's pretty good. And then the early reflection, that is kind of the reverb in the room. I typically get that to 0. So now we're getting there. It's getting pretty close to what I want. I think I need a little bit more presence here. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit more treble. And again, I'm playing a Les Paul, so it's not, as trebly as, say, a P90 or any other, single coil, Strat, Tele, that kind of thing. That's pretty much there on the classic sound. Clicking over to the reverb, I've got a room. It's real slight. You hear it there. And I tend to keep the mix like below 10. Give it a little hint without overwhelming things with the reverb. So I was kind of moving around there. Okay. So that's kind of your basics for, a classic rock and roll sound. And that'll get you through a lot of stuff. And you can always add more chunk there and build on that basic. So, this is the basic Plexi sound. You can put overdrive in front. That will definitely get you more. You could put compression, and then you can start adding the other effects. But this is kind of the basic building block when I'm doing a classic rock sound for a song. And generally, that Plexi is going to get you everything. This classic rock and roll that's, before 1990. That was a lot of it. We won't go into the Marshall history, but there's a GE300 came along in the 80s. But a lot of Plexis are still used. And again, kind of the, classic Van Halen, that's a Plexi. So that's how you build the basics and then go from there. Make sure you're subscribed for more. I'll probably do another one where I do a clean sound that's like a Fender like sound, showing the building blocks. But the tip to take away from this is you can use the things that are built in the GE300. You don't have to go and buy commercial IR files or the GNR files. You can do this. One big tip here is think about how they really mic a real amp. And the GE300, I think, does a really good job with that. And again, what I've done here is put it 100% on an SM57 that's right up on the grill. The distance is 5. You can actually make it, closer. Let's show you the difference. Let's do it to 30. Here how it loses that edge. It's because that 57 is moved away, well, virtually from the cabinet. Definitely play with the settings for that and find something that works for you. And that's how you can dial in those building blocks. This is one that I use all the time. I do some variations with different effects that I add, but this, in the rock band that I was just in, the Plexi, I used it for almost everything. It would add different kinds of speaker cabinets here. I did sample a bunch from the amps that I own, so I don't have to carry them to gigs. I just use them using the capture function, the GE300. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in seeing how I do that. I've got a lot of stuff that I've captured and I use when I play live or when I'm streaming or whatever, so I don't have to drag out an amp. I can just use the GE300 and get that sound. But I hope you find this useful. Make sure you subscribe for more updates, and I'll show more goodies from the GE300. Really like this effects unit. I upgraded to the GE300. I had a Digitech RP1000, which was great, but it doesn't have the ability to add IR files, and it sounds a little dated compared to the GE300. And I really like mine. I haven't had any issues with it. It's been great for me. I gigged for a good year and a half, and then some gigs there when the COVID was going on. So I was dragging it around to different breweries and bars and stuff and playing. And since that point, I've done a lot of streaming and recording here at home with it. So it gets a lot of use, and really like it. So, definitely subscribe to the channel so you can get more updates about how I'm using the GE300. And if this video does well, I'll probably do some more tips and show you how I dial in some tone blocks with this thing. So, later.